Alright, y'all, so I'm back with another Bible reading. Me and my grandma just got back. Back home, it's like 6, so I didn't get to record one early because we had to wake up pretty early and go outside, so it's fine. We went out, did some errands, so now we're back. I'm on Judges 8 to Judges 9, page 210 to 211, and I'm just going to read 2 pages today, and tomorrow I'll read some outside. Sorry about that. But I'm just going to start right now. At the beginning, so they calmed down. Gideon now crossed the Jordan River, which, with his 300 men, they were very tired but still chasing the enemy. He asked the men of Sukkoth for food. We are weary from chasing after Zebeth and Zamulion, the kings of Madon, he said. But the leader of Sukkoth replied, "You haven't caught them yet? If we feed you and you fail, they will return and destroy us." Then Gideon warned them, "When the Lord has delivered them to us, I will return and tear your flesh with the thorns of..." Wait, what? "With the thorns and briars of the wilderness?" Briars? I'm not too sure. Whatever that is, of the wilderness. Then he went up to a Penuel and asked for food, but got the same answer. And he said to them also, "When this is all over, I will return and break down this tower." But this time, King Zebah and King Zamulia, with a remnant of 15,000 troops, were in Karkor. That was all that was left of the allied armies of the east. Oh, just of the east. For 120,000 all had... What? For 120,000 had already been killed. Then Gideon circled around the cavern Karavian route east of Nuba and Jogibin, whatever that is, striking at the Midianite army in surprise raids. The two kings fled, but Gideon chased and captured them, routing their entire force. Later, Gideon returned by way of Horse Pass. There he captured a young fellow from Sukkoth and demanded that he write down the names of all the 77 political and religious leaders of the city. He then returned to Sukkoth. You taunted me that I would never catch King Zebah and King whatever that name is, and you refused to give us food when we were tired and hungry. He said, "Well, here they are." Then he took the leaders of the city, scarped them to death, I'm not too sure, scraped them to death with wild thorns and brasses. He also went to Penuel and knocked down the city tower and killed the entire male population. Then Gideon asked King Zebah and King Zalmunna, "The men you killed at Tabor, what were they like?" They replied. What were they like? They replied, "They were dressed just like you, like sons of kings. They must have been my brothers," Gideon exclaimed. I swear that if you hadn't killed them, I wouldn't kill you." Then turning to whatever that name is, his oldest son, he instructed him to kill them, but the boy was only a lad and was afraid to. Then Zebah and whatever his name is said to Gideon, "You do it. We'd rather be killed by a man." So Gideon killed them and took the ordnance from their camels' necks. Now the men from Israel said to Gideon, "Be our king. You and your sons and all your descendants shall be our rulers, for you have saved us from Midian." But Gideon replied, "I will not be your king, nor shall my son. The Lord is your king. However, I have one request. Give me all the earnings collected from your fallen foes, for the troops of Midian being Ishmaelites, all wore golden earrings. Gladly they replied, and spread out a sheet for everyone to throw in the golden earrings he had gathered. Their value was estimated at 25,000, not including the crescents and pendants, or the royal clothing of the kings, or the chains around the camels' necks. Gideon made an ephod, I don't know what that word is, from the gold and put it in Ophrah, his hometown, but all Israel soon began worshipping it. So it became an evil deed that Gideon and his family did. That is the true account of how Midian was subdued by Israel. They never recovered, and the land was at peace for 40 years, all during Gideon's lifetime. He returned home and eventually had 70 sons, for he married many wives. He also had a concubine in Shechem, who presented him with a son named Abimelech. Gideon finally died an old man, and was buried in the, whatever that was, specular, something of his father Josh in Ophrah, in the land of Abirides. But as soon as Gideon was dead, the Israelis began to worship idols of Baal and Baal-berith. They no longer considered the Lord as their God, though he had rescued them from all their enemies on every side, nor did they show any kindness to the family of Gideon despite all he had done for them. One day Gideon's son Abimelech visited his uncle's, his mother's brother in Brett. One day Gideon's son Abimelech visited I think that's his name, I'm not too sure. But he visited his uncles, his mother's brothers in Shechem. Go and talk to the leaders of Shechem, he requested, and ask them whether they want to be ruled by 70 kings, Gideon's 70 sons, or by one man, meaning me, your own flesh and blood. So his uncles went to the leaders of the city and proposed Abimelech's scheme. And they decided that since his mother was a native of their town, they would go along with it. They gave him money from the temple offerings of the idol of Baal-berith, whatever that name is, Baal-berith, which he used to hire some worthless loafers who agreed to do whatever he told them to do. He took them to his father's home at Ophrah, and there, upon one stone, they slaughtered all 70 of his half-brothers, except for the youngest, Jotham, who escaped and hid. Then the citizens of Shechem and Beth Moili called a meeting under the oak, besides the garrison at Shechem, whatever, and Abimelech was acclimated? I don't know what that word means. Something king of Israel. Sorry about that. King of Israel. When Jotham heard about this, he stood at the top of Mount Gerizim and shouted across to the men of Shechem, "If you want God's blessing, listen to me. Once upon a time, the trees decided to elect a king. First they asked for the olive tree, but it refused. Should I quit pronouncing the olive tree that blesses God, a man, and man, just to wave to and fro over the other trees?" it asked. Then they said to the fig tree, "You be our king," but the fig tree also refused. "Should I quit producing sweetness and fruit just to lift my head above all the other trees?" it asked. Then they said to the grapevine, "You reign over us." But the grapevine replied, "Shall I quit producing the wine that cheers both God and man just to be mightier than all other trees? Then all the other trees finally turned to the thorn bush. 'You be our king,' they exclaimed, and the thorn bush replied, 'If you really want me, come and humble yourselves beneath my shade. If you refuse, let fire flame forth from me and burn down the great cedars of Lebanon.' Now make sure that you have done the right thing in making Abimelech your king, that you have done right by Gideon and all of his descendants, for my father fought for you and risked his life to delivered you from the Midianites. Yet you have revolted against him and killed his 70 sons upon one stone. And now you have chosen his slave girl's son, Abimelech, to be your king, just because he is your relative. If you are sure that you have done right by Gideon and his descendants, then may you and Abimelech have a long and happy life together. But if you have not been fair to Gideon, then may Abimelech destroy the citizens of Shechem and Beth-Melio, and may they destroy Abimelech. Then Jotham escaped and lived in Beer for fear of his brothers. 3 years later, God stirred up trouble between King Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem, and they revolted. In the events that followed, both Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem who aided him in the butchering Gideon's 70 sons were given their just punishment for these murders. For the men of Shechem set an ambush for Abimelech along the trail at the top of the mountain. While they were waiting for him to come along, they robbed everyone else who passed that way. But someone warned Abimelech. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I think I might be. Not too sure. About their plot. At the time, Gal, the son of Abid, moved to Shechem, whatever that is, with his brothers, and had become one of the leader citizens. During the harvest feast of Shechem that year, held in the temple of the local god, the wine flowed freely, and everyone began cursing Abimelech. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave it right now. Tomorrow I will read more of my Bible. I'm going to try to go outside and read a little bit more, hopefully 4 pages, but we'll see what happens. So for now, thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and I hope you all have an amazing and blessed day. Peace out.